Hi guys, welcome back. So in the last video we discussed emotions, and now I want to jump into where do those come from. And also, this is my second time recording this video. I recorded this like maybe 3 weeks ago, but I was rewatching it and there was a lot of people around, and I think I was too like self-conscious of just like talking to the camera with people watching me, that the whole video just sounded scatterbrained. So I was like, I gotta come out here and do this again. So take two. Emotions come from thoughts. They are not random. So the core idea of this video is thoughts shape what you experience, your reality. Because I'm under the belief that, well, there is one reality, right? But we don't all see it. So the reality that everyone is experiencing, I feel, is different from person to person. So your thoughts aren't shaping what happens, just how you're experiencing it, how you choose to experience and interact. So there's a chain. At the first level, it is the mind. There's the thought. You give that thought your awareness, your energy, and it can manifest as an emotion. So maybe that's happiness or sadness. Let's keep it real basic. And then if those emotions linger long enough, they can manifest into the body or through the body. So for happiness, after giving those thoughts lots of attention, lots of energy, you're feeling the happiness, you're feeling the lightness, then it starts to manifest through the body, and all of a sudden you're just so creative. Like, you have all these ideas, you're creating it in whatever you want, really. Like, whether you're writing a book or creating a series or a new device, like, creation is so vast. But on the other side, you could be feeling sadness for so long, and it starts to manifest through the body as depression. So you're laying in bed all day, you're tired, you don't want to do anything. That's the chain. That is the mental chain. And so we experience these in all areas of life, right? I always like to give an example, and it's always easiest for me to speak on my experience. I just recently quit a job that was bringing me dread. I didn't even realize, but I was actually a little depressed, anxiety. It was bringing all those things. And I saw that, but I just didn't observe it closely enough. After a while, it got to be so much. I was like, yeah, I can't do this job anymore. I got to do something new. This job is going. So I quit. And for, what is this, like 4 months now? For 4 months, I've been unemployed. And one of the reasons why I was so scared to even quit was because of my thoughts that you won't have enough, you won't have a place to live, you won't be able to pay bills, all this stuff. It was creating this illusion, and I was believing it. I was falling into it, and I was feeling very miserable believing that illusion. But then it just got to be so much. I just quit, and none of those things came true. I actually spent 3 months in Costa Rica just hopping around, having fun. And in the first month, from not feeling all those, like, for one, having those thoughts come, because the job was gone now. So, like, the thoughts were kind of stupid. I feel like at this point, we're like, I've quit already. I have no job. It's too late. So those thoughts came less and less. And so the emotions weren't building up because the thoughts were coming less. I was giving less attention to them. I was trying to have fun in Costa Rica. I was like, I don't care. This is 3 months that I just want to just do what I want and have fun. And in that first month, I was healing. I was healing so much. I didn't even realize how many of my body's, chronic illnesses or symptoms that I've been dealing with for over the years were coming through chronic stress and anxiety. And it all started from the level of the mind, like believing that I had to work, that I wouldn't have anything unless I had a job, that I'd end up on the street homeless. I don't know why I believed any of these things, as if I didn't have family members like ready to welcome me in if anything were to ever occur. They would never just like watch me on the street struggle. Like I don't even know where that thought was coming from, but ugh. Oh gosh, I just murdered y'all because I'm sitting in the woods and to record this video, and there's lots of mosquitoes. I don't do mosquitoes. I try to let everything else live, but a mosquito is where I draw the line. Even a roach I've been letting live, but a mosquito is where I draw the line. So that's just an example of how the chain works. So now I kind of want to dive into that specific experience and just highlight some different parts of that chain. The first one being the illusions, or ego. I was believing that all those thoughts were true. Y'all, I might have to actually move around a little bit. Yeah, because I'm not trying to get bit up, right? So I'll just like walk around here, but I have my bike with me, so I don't want it to like get stolen. Where did that thought come from? Why would somebody steal my bike? This makes my point because in the past, my bike was stolen. I had it like in the bike room of our apartment. And so this was my second bike, but I was using an experience in the past, had thoughts come up to match that pattern of the past, quickly identified with that thought, believed it, and then was reacting to my reality as if it was true. I didn't want to leave my bike because I didn't want it to get stolen, but like I said, and somebody actually did end up walking past while I was like a little bit of ways. They didn't pay my bike any fucking mind. Like they didn't care. They was on their walk. So it was all up here. Like there's no one even here. Anywho, the illusion, believing that every thought that comes through is truth without question. Like that chain, a lot of us are stuck right there, and myself included, quickly becoming the thought instead of observing it. We're treating them like facts instead of like, maybe I think a better way, maybe like data. I don't even know data because I don't know what's a good way of thinking it as, but honestly, I like to think of them as ideas, and I can choose to give that idea energy, or I can be like, I don't know. After much consideration, I've decided to forego this idea and keep looking at the others. But a lot of our thoughts are coming from patterns of the past. It is patterns. I like to often refer to it like a computer. I think of the body as a bio machine. It's pieces of code, program that in the past has served you for whatever reason. But, that was the past. This is the part where we might want to take it a step further and like, is this code, is this program sufficient for today or today's issues or problems? Instead of just immediately thinking that like, yeah, I wrote this shit like 10 years ago. I don't see why it wouldn't work today, as if the problems don't change over time and morph and become more complex, maybe even. So the moral of the story is, just because you think it doesn't make it true. And man, I need to just like repeat this over and over and over and over and over and over because man, how thoughts just be slipping through as facts too many times. And so the next part I want to look at regarding that chain is your state of being, right? Your emotion. After giving thoughts so much attention, so much energy, and then they start to manifest as an emotion. And I'm specifically talking about, the negative ones, right? We can start to feel dis-ease from our emotional state because we've let those thoughts come in, right? So the thought that I'll be on the street if I don't have a job, I accepted it as a fact, even though, it wasn't, right? And so then I start to feel some dis-ease. I'm looking at the world now as if I do this, this will absolutely happen. And it obviously doesn't make me feel good. It calls a emotional, what do they call it in court? Like emotional distress. Like that's dead ass. Like I just feel emotional distress from a lie I chose to believe. And so then my state of mind over time, because the more I give attention and energy to that thought, the more it begins to manifest through my body as that negative emotion. And I start to encompass a state of being that is not of myself. And of course, that doesn't feel good. That's not me. I'm not a sad, anxious, scared person. Like that's not who I am. So of course, when I'm identifying with it in that moment, I'm feeling like shit. So identification. I'm not just at this point. My thought isn't just a thought. I've given it so much more. I have identified myself with it. I am the thought that I will be homeless. And who the fuck wants to be homeless? Like, I just don't know anyone. Maybe there are some people, let's take out that small percentage. But I don't know too many people who are like, I'm ready to be homeless. Like, yeah, struggle. That's for me. Fuck yeah. Like, I just don't know anybody talking like that. Being identified with the thought that I'm going to be homeless, like, as if I already am. And again, it's just a thought. It's not even happening. It's just, it could be a possibility, but doesn't make it true. And so now my whole state of being is not of myself. I'm not aligned with my higher self. I am, I don't know what I am. I guess I'm identified. I'm identified with the ego, with the illusion, with the lie, with the thought. So the big problem with believing every thought is that it causes emotional distress. It stresses you the hell out. It creates anxiety. And it can go to the extreme, to depression and dread and feelings of like just not even wanting to be here because you're not being yourself. We didn't come here to live someone else's dream and be someone else. You came here to be you, to express you through this physical vehicle. So of course we start feeling that way. To me, it makes perfect sense when you think about it. But over time, believing every thought also creates misalignment. You're not aligning with your higher self. You're not doing what you want, what brings you joy. Whatever you feel like is your higher purpose. And so if you're not being you, then what are you doing? Yeah, if you're not being you, then who are you? What are you doing here? And then I honestly believe that's why people end up wanting to like leave, quit the game and start over. Like if I don't like my character in a video game, I'm just like, yeah, scratch this. I'm gonna delete this one and I'm gonna create one I do like. And I think that's what people are doing, but it seems very like permanent and final because we don't understand death. So, or ourselves really. So what I've done to combat this issue is, for one, questioning, looking for the patterns, belief systems, the code, the program that is making me feel emotional distress, dis-ease, unalignment, and questioning, is this true? Did I make this a fact? Is this me saying this? And asking questions like that has really opened up the door into decoupling myself from my thoughts, coming back to self and realizing that I am not them. And if I don't like them, I don't have to give them attention. I don't have to give them the time of day. I don't have to give them my energy. I can just observe it. Peace out. Thanks for coming by. It was not a pleasure having you, but whatever. You came through anyway. If you haven't yet, I highly suggest you start practicing observing your thoughts. Just, you know, I feel like when I first started, it felt so difficult, y'all. It felt like crazy. I was like, what? I'm not my thought. Like, what do you even mean? I don't even understand. But it was because I didn't understand the foundation that I was not my thoughts or my body. So then I started to think like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. There's all these voices in my head. Like, oh my God, I'm insane. I should be in a mental hospital. And I think that's what some people in the mental hospital are struggling with. But after a while, I started to recognize there was this space between my thoughts and I. And it became easier and easier over time. I was able to observe longer and longer. I started to catch myself, not at the level of thought, right? I didn't start there. Like I started catching like when I felt really bad and I was crying and having like these really big emotions, and I would catch myself there. And then slowly but surely, then it would come back to like, oh, the emotion is just bubbling up, and I would catch myself there. And then I got to a point where I was catching myself and, hold on, this thought then came through like 10 times now. Like, why does it keep coming? Am I giving it energy? And then it came to the point where I don't know if I trained my mind or what, but it came to a point where my mind didn't even offer me that thought anymore because it knew I didn't want it. Like, why you gonna keep giving me, a cheesecake? And I said I'm lactose intolerant. Like the server's gonna give you something else. So then I started getting other thoughts, and I started training my mind essentially. Like, instead of feeling those super negative emotions, it was like, you can do this. You got this. You can handle anything that's coming at you. And those were the thoughts that started to come through my mind. And those were the ones that I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to give these all the attention. But it didn't happen overnight. I'm still training my mind to this day. I honestly feel like it's probably going to be a lifelong practice. And it's not something like, I don't think it's like learning how to write. Like you learn how to write and it's over. I think it's just, I don't know what to equate it to. I don't know what type of learning this is, but it's forever. You're always refining. You're always growing. You're always learning. And a tool that helped me to specifically discover this, because I've been on my own personal journey for like 7 years, I think at this point, maybe longer. It honestly started since birth, but I'm just going to say since I gained awareness, which I felt like was 7 years ago. One thing that really helped me with this, that really like just made it clear, because sometimes it's kind of hard when you're first starting out, was fasting. And I'm just mentioning this everywhere because I just feel like that's how crucial it is. I just feel like it helps. Right. So I mentioned it in physical, and I'm going to mention it in spiritual. Fasting, in my experience, helps with observing. When you're not using your observation skills to, not cut your finger while you're making a meal, or buying the freshest eggs, or making sure you don't burn the vegetables, you really have a lot of time to observe your thoughts. You really do. And that just like, it just sucks you into the world, and I feel like it's like putting on glasses for the first time, and you can't see, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know all this was here. And it's like, yes, uh, welcome has been here. She's been waiting for you. Come along now. Next up is spirituality. If you are not your thoughts, what are you? To conclude that all, if you change your thoughts, you can change your experience. The situation, the external environment will be exactly the same, but your perspective on it, your perception, how you choose to interact with it can make all of the difference. It can turn a bad situation into a good situation. So remember, your thoughts aren't always true, but they do shape how you experience everything. Much love and happy healing.